Today we're going to solve the longest riddle, the biggest dilemma in all of best ball, and it's bye weeks. Can you possibly have two quarterbacks on the same team with the same bye week? What about multiple running backs, multiple receivers? How many players can you have on the same bye week? We're going to figure that out. I actually don't know if we're going to figure it out, but we'll talk about it for a few minutes. And then, of course, we're going to hop into a Best Ball Mania 3 draft. Myself, Silas Jackson. Let's just go ahead and get into it. All right, Silas, we're here to solve the best ball bye week problems. This came about. I'm just letting everybody know. This is just a small bit of an inside joke we've been talking about. But we're in that point of the off season where there's not a goddamn thing to talk about, and so we've been talking a lot about the bye week stuff, right? So we have the schedule out. Obviously, we've talked a lot about playoff scheduling. We've talked a lot about bye weeks in the Spike Week Discord. If you're not signed up for the Spike Week Discord, the typical plug, go to spikeweek.com, go to the header. It's a totally 100% free Discord. And like, that's where all this, like a lot of the stuff that ends up on these shows is we all talked about it in the Discord. And the thing that's been big for the last week has been bye week stuff. And so I do think it's important to discuss. So we can talk about it for a minute, and then we'll hop into a Best Ball Mania 3 draft for everyone that's here to actually draft and not hear about how many fucking week 9 buys you can have on your team. But anyway, I buried the lead. Silas, how is everything going?
Good. And I mean, you talked about it. Like I posted a draft, I want to say on Friday, and it kind of like circumferenced the weekend of people like, what do you mean you can't have two quarterbacks in the same bye week? And I was like,
right,
it doesn't fucking matter. Like,
yeah.
Who cares if you're giving up? And I did some calculations. I was like, wanted to take, I got some average of what it took to advance last week from Hayden, or last year from Hayden. And, they averaged out, like if you get an average quarterback score, right? And this is like an average quarterback score, not saying that it's going to happen, not saying it's likely, whatever. An average 20-point week, you're giving up 1% of what you need in total, right? Why the hell do you care? Yeah. Why are people like, this is terrible, you're gonna die? Like, you're throwing away money. Like, what happens if that team advances, right? You're different from the rest of the tournament. You're adding
just by drafting players that everyone's already drafting. Like we spend this whole freaking off season talking about, like, I mean, I literally wrote an article today that was about, like, we're trying to like redefine the sleeper thing, right? Sleeper, the term has really kind of been ruined over the last 10 years of fantasy football. The articles that you like, if you Google like fantasy football sleepers, it's like a dude going in the 10th round. Yeah, it's like he's a 10th round pick. He's not a fucking sleeper. He, like, everybody's drafting him. So trying to like kind of redefine that phrase, and it being a little bit around the uniqueness idea, right? Like, so I wrote up, it's free, so it doesn't really matter. But like, I wrote up Chris Evans and Zay Jones were two of the guys that I wrote up that, they're getting drafted in some drafts, particularly the like, I know a lot of Spike Weekers are on Chris Evans, but like Zay Jones has been, like, he's one of my highest owned players on DraftKings specifically. Yep. And it's because he doesn't get drafted. He's undrafted. And then I lay out, like, in the article, here's to why. And part of that is uniqueness. I'm like, I'm stacking that game. I'm stacking that week 17 game, to be clear. I'm kind of in on the Jaguars. They're also cheap. And like, he was awesome down the stretch. Like, you wanted him on your team if like, maybe you're in a season, like the main event on FFPC or something. You weren't drafting him, I'm sure, in best ball. But a lot of it is that uniqueness thing. And it's like, all you have to do is literally not care about bye weeks, And that's actually probably the easiest way to be unique in best ball, because everybody cares about bye weeks. And like, but no one ever thinks about it that way, right?
Yeah. And I mean, even last year, like you had people that were like, you have like 4 wide receivers on the same bye week, like you're screwed. Like, you know, Pete nicknamed the term like bye week bros. Like people freak out if you put something on Twitter with like multiple bye weeks. Why do people care? Like you're trying to correlate and get through to advance, right? That's goal 1 is advance. Goal 2 is to win the tournament. How do you do that? Differentiate yourself, provide yourself, give yourself that potential leverage to increase your first place equity. Nobody wants $35. Everybody wants $2 million.
Yeah, right. I love that. That's one of my favorites too. Like when you lay it out like that, and so it's tough in this space. I do think this conversation is tough in this space because the rebuttal to what you just said and what I'm probably about to say is like you have to advance to reach the final, and I appreciate that. Like, trust me, I'm not. There's no pushback from me on that. However, no one can actually define like how much you're hurting your advance rate, which is where this where it really starts to become a tricky balancing act. Like if you told me right now, I'm going to advance like 25% less teams because I draft 8 quarterbacks on the same bye, right? Like only 4 or 5 of those are going to get through solely based on the math. I would be like, okay, I don't even know if I want to just punt off 4 or 5 teams. I don't know. But like no one can actually ever really like wrap their head around it. And the big thing, I think it was yesterday, that came up again in the Discord where also like you need to dig in from a micro perspective. And most of the time people are talking about quarterbacks when they're talking about buys because like people don't seem to get worked up about the tight end thing because everybody can rationalize it, probably rightfully so. Absolutely. Saying like it's like 7 to 10 points. Like who gives a shit?
At best.
And I agree. That's a good week. You got 10 points. Like you, my best ball team last year had it was Kyle Pitts who was getting like 6 points a week. Like I was happy when he got 6 points. So it doesn't really matter. And then you don't get a lot of pushback on running back and wide receiver. Maybe like you said, like if you draft like last year was week 7. This year, it's a little more of week 9. If you drafted all of the guys right from week 7, maybe you get a little pushback. But it's quarterback where everybody pushes back on that position. But then when you dig into the micro, you're like, okay, you took 2 quarterbacks with the same bye. You've already taken 2 quarterbacks that was probably in the first, let's call it 12 rounds. Yep. The third guy that you're taking is like a punt, right? Because it's not like you're drafting him because like you wanted him. Yep. You're drafting him because like, oh shit, I took, it's probably an accident. You probably accidentally did it. And you're like, I got to take Kenny Pickett. Yep. I got to take Marcus Mariota. I got to take whatever. Desmond Ridder.
I saw it in the 17th, 18th round when you're actually looking through your team. Like, how can I correlate this more? And you're taking one of the last quarterbacks in the draft.
Right. And so I went through this exercise yesterday, actually, really quickly because we were having a conversation in the Discord. And I was like, people say this because it sounds good. It does sound really good in defense of the 2 QBs on bye thing. They're like, well, I can't give away 20 to 25 points. Yep. I'm like, well, what fucking third quarterback are you taking that you tell me, please, you're drafting a quarterback in the 17th round that you know is going to get you to 20 to 25 points. Please tell me who that is. I'm just going to draft that dude. You know what I mean? Like you're drafting someone whose actual expectation of points is probably like 10 to 15. You're drafting Jared Goff. You're drafting Big Ben last year. You're drafting right Kenny Pickett this year. You might be drafting a dude this year who you don't even know. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, whatever. You're drafting that kind of quarterback. You can't take an average of quarterbacks. You can't look at like, okay, what is the average quarterback score? A, it's not 20. I'll tell you that much. And B, even if it was, you're not looking at that. You're looking at like the bottom of the barrel quarterbacks for this third guy. Yeah. So you're actually replacing 10 or 15 points. Let's call it. I'm just ballparking. 10 or 15 points. And so then the conversation becomes very different. I agree. 25 points is a big deal. Guess how many quarterbacks score 25 points in a week? Not very many. Guess how many of them score when they're 17th or 18th? Yeah, right. So like how many 17th and 18th round picks are scoring that many? None. I don't think any did last year. Yeah, Herbert did it 2 years ago. It was Herbert was like the only guy.
Herbert,
guess
and
what?
then Lamar the year before.
Yeah, and nobody was fucking taking Justin Herbert. He's undrafted. So like, I think though, like that's a really micro specific example of the bye week conversation. But I think that's the actual important part that gets missed. Everybody goes back through and they're like, oh, you lost out on this many potential points or whatever. But like when you do the assessment, you need to get into the weeds a little bit and think these things through. And that's why like we just don't know. And I think it's probably a lot smaller amount of points than everybody thinks that it is that you're giving up, even at quarterback. And so it's one of those things that I'm just not worrying about. It's not going to happen that much. I'm not drafting that many. Like, I don't know. Out of 150, I might have 7 or 8 of these teams. And like, why am I worrying about avoiding that? When, like you said, what if I get week, we're outlining super crazy scenarios. Week 16, one of my quarterbacks from week 9 is the guy. And then week 17, the other one is the guy. And I don't need Baker Mayfield on that team. I just want those 2 guys. And if they're good, I'll probably advance and I don't have to worry about it.
Yep. No, 100%. And that's kind of, I mean, we've been, at least I've been kind of digging my heels in. And like, I feel like I keep arguing with different people about this. Like, they don't fucking matter. And I can't stop. Like everybody just is like, this is terrible. And like, it took up my whole weekend. So
it's me with Trey Lance. It's me with Trey Lance. Somebody pops in, like somebody that didn't, there's a lot of conversation, like I said, in the Discord. It's awesome. I'm going to make this sound really fucking terrible when I say this, but I promise it's awesome. But like a bunch of people have a conversation on a subject like bye weeks for like 2 straight days because, but it is really helpful. A lot of people provide a lot of really everybody has different thoughts on these things and people put their input in. And like, I'm not saying I change my opinion from what people are saying in these conversations, but it is helpful to hear your take.
Absolutely.
And somebody else's take, right? I was literally arguing with someone yesterday about this bye week thing, but hearing the way that they were processing kind of the information is really helpful. But you'll always, the internet, just how the internet works. You'll get somebody who wasn't around for that, and they'll just come in and they'll just be like, some idiot just took Trey Lance, like 80th overall. And I'm like, you motherfucker. Like, don't do this. Don't start this. Back up.
No, and another plug to the Discord is like, everybody has their own opinions. And, we like to think that there's a lot of smart, sharp people in the Discord. And it's not that we're trying to change everybody's mind, but it's at least thinking about something differently that you pick up on something that you didn't think about before. So, having these conversations just continuously helps. So, Erik's new thing is going to be, bringing up the Discord rather than saying like and subscribe, because obviously
100%. 100%. I can say that. And it's not it's literally saying the same thing, but different. And it's not the same thing that every other YouTuber says. But this is true. Rob, I agree. Push this propaganda. Pop quiz. When is Trey Lance bye week? Answer: every week.
Every week.
When you're the backup, that's what happens. You stand on the sideline. One of my better tweets actually, and then we'll hop into a draft. Recently was about. I'm pushing the Trey Lance like FUD, right? Trying to let's keep that ADP in the hundreds for as long as I can get it. And it was like, we had just had the conversation about Julio again in the Discord. And it was like, why doesn't Julio sign with the 49ers? Trey Lance needs somebody to stand on the sideline and watch the games with so he doesn't get bored, and that's like all this Trey Lance FUD is just absolutely perfect. So any other thing you want to mention on the bye week stuff?
No, I think I've laid it out pretty well. If anybody wants to disagree with me again, feel free to hit me up in the Discord. I will continue to do this for the next 3-4 months.
Yeah. Oh God, this is just Trey Lance FUD City. Erik says also it's been a little while, but there was a time last year during the season where every person that was commenting on a show was either named Erik, which is obviously ironic because of me, or named Paul. There was like 14 Pauls, and I couldn't keep them straight. But then every person named Erik that plays fantasy football is apparently just like attracted to someone also with their name. And now we have I shout out to this Erik. I will never be able to pronounce that name. Erik G. Thank you for commenting, but also fuck you for commenting negative things about Trey Lance. Erik says backup quarterbacks in the 8th round. Next you'll be telling me to draft Nick Foles. Yeah, so that's what that's what I get paid the big bucks to do, to tout backup quarterbacks in the 8th round. Let's hop into the BBM.
We are in.
3 more.
How many? How many are you?
Not a ton of BBMs. 30, I think.
Not a lot. He says
30.
20%
full. Only. Well, I can't ever get a real gauge. That was a quick fill. I can't ever get a real gauge on what is a lot, because there's people like again, in our community that are like just like, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 entries in. And I've actually been, we all love Underdog. And I love drafters. I've been trying to actually focus a little more on DraftKings and drafters. Drafters, takes a little bit more time to fill. So when I see something, when I'm looking, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go walk the dogs. Let me pull up all the different apps and see if a drafters one is like close to filling. I'll hop in that. DraftKings, they fill really. That $5 is like a crack for degenerates. Everybody is just, smashing that $5 DraftKings tournament. And I've been doing that one a little bit more because I don't know that like when August gets here, I'm going to have a lot of motivation to draft the $5 one, when like I'll be staring down the clip at 75 BBMs and like puppies and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know that I'm going to have motivation to do the DraftKings one. So I've been prioritizing that a little bit.
No, totally understand that. I'm
see Tony's 50 deep already.
I saw Spags earlier. Spags at 65.
What?
Yeah.
Spags is at 65? Good for
Spags
him.
is at 65.
He got that 0 RB.
This is my 30th.
He got that 0 RB bug, and now he's just smashing drafts left and right. That's great.
Yeah, this is my 35th. I'm doing the same thing with you, more focusing on DraftKings. However, I'm doing solely slow drafts. It's been miserable.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's been absolutely miserable. But like, it helps me to like keep everything going. I don't feel like I have to continuously hit BBMs. I mean, we're 4 weeks into BBM, so I'm just like, we're starting to hit that dead period where everybody's just going to be like hitting the lull. All right, we are on the clock.
Okay, I got a take here.
Go for it.
Kelsey.
I
don't really like the running backs here. And when I say I don't really like, I mean I fucking hate the running backs here.
My only thing would be Devontae. But I'm totally fine with Kelsey.
And I'm personally trying to get over on Kelsey and just like so on Devontae. I know there are people out there that are really like kind of anti Devontae, and I get the stance about, his target share, blah, 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 not with Rodgers. But also he's still Devontae Adams. He also plays the 49ers in week 17, in which I'll have a lot of 49ers. So I'm not going to not draft Devontae Adams. Like, Derek Carr has been recruiting him for 10 years. Like, you don't think Derek Carr is going to throw him the ball? Like, I'm pretty sure Derek Carr is going to throw him the ball. So I'm not actively fading him, but Kelsey is probably like my, I don't know, whatever, 6th or 7th overall player after the top 2 running backs and the top 3 wide receivers.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And I mean, we keep talking about like the Chiefs, like we brought up the Chiefs in the Discord many times. Like, who's going to be that secondary guy? And we all just assume Kelsey's going for 1,410. So like, why is he not going in like the first half?
It is weird. Isn't that weird though? Everybody is like, oh shit, we're on the clock. Sorry.
We are on the clock.
I like all of. I'll kind of let. I took over the first one. I like Debo. I like Swift. I like Evans. I like all these guys. So I'll let you kind of gear it. It's your. We're on drafting on your account. So
we're gonna play Debo. I do like Evans, but Debo's gonna. I feel like Debo's gonna get steamed once he actually signs his extension.
I think so too.
And he'll probably be that 1-2 turn again, probably 13th. I see him going over CD Lamb once he actually signs.
I think what do you think about this with Debo? I've actually been thinking about him quite a bit, and I wasn't drafting him super early, and I've been drafting him a lot more as he's fallen just a little bit. Like he used to go like maybe more like in the digs. I know this is really not a big deal. We're really nitpicking, but like just a few more picks, like where he's not next to Diggs and Kelsey and those guys. I've just been like the whole market, like the whole narrative around all these guys is always like, well, Debo can't recreate that. He can't do that again. He can't do that touchdown rate. He can't, do this, that, the other thing. But like, he's also just like really good at football. and like some of his actual best games came with Trey Lance because Lance can actually throw the ball further than 10 yards down the field. And it's like, what happens if this offense is like what we were kind of praying for it to be with Trey Lance last year? And now you have the best player on that offense in the second round. Like, I feel like it's one of those where like, oh, I'll do my projection. He doesn't look good with my projection. But like, he's a superstar football player, on an awesome offense. I don't want to have zero. I don't want to have zero Debo Samuel.
No, I feel like you just have to mix him in and just put him into different builds, kind of see how it works. Because like you said, he's not going to project well. But what happens if that offense does take a step forward? And if once Lance does start, like theoretically they should take a major step forward. They shouldn't be.
But it can't be worse. It can't be worse. No. Like from an upside perspective, it can't be worse. They've been playing with nothing but check down quarterbacks that don't look downfield. They had to play Debo at fucking running back because they couldn't like be aggressive on offense. And so like it can't be worse.
Yeah. This
is true too. What do you think about? Have you thought about that? Aaron Jones has gotten steamed over the last week or two or so. Are you buying him still at all?
I mean, I prefer more of those guys at the 2-3 turn. I really haven't seen him in this range. So I haven't been drafting as much as other people. So I still have to think my way through it. I probably still will. I'm going Saquon here.
Yes, sir.
So I still have to think my way through it. But I've been trying, and I have been kind of doing a mini with Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones. So I'll probably continue to do that. So I don't really mind him in a second.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. I have a little more concern, I think, than maybe the market does on Aaron Jones, because he's literally there's no ceiling of a non-committee back. No matter what happens, he's going to be a committee back.
Yep.
And he's a little bit more of the pass catching area of the committee back, and that's great for like PPR sites. It's not as great for Underdog, and like the market is not really factoring in the fact that Green Bay they just lost arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers is getting older. They didn't replace Devontae, and there's really nothing they can do anymore to like even remotely replace his production, even whether it's Julio or Will Fuller or whatever. That's not Devontae Adams. And so there's a real chance that they're not really a very fantasy-friendly offense, even though Jones has been great. So I'm a little bit lower, but also to the same point as you. I'm going to take him with some Justin Jefferson teams. I'm not going to have zero Jones.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely an interesting point that I put. Hold on, I'm going to have to wait because we're on the clock.
Yeah, what do you like here? Oh.
This is where I actually hate this.
I know.
You hear me? Hi.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you now. I'm okay. I'm okay with Mahomes. I'm okay with Pittman. I'm okay with any of these wide receivers, honestly. So I'm good either way. Mahomes works.
Let's just grab Mahomes. This is my first Mahomes share. So
yeah, I'm not taking a lot of Mahomes. I'm not taking a lot of Mahomes. Are you? You said it was your first. You're also kind of.
This is my literal first share of Mahomes. So.
This is definitely
I don't love the price. Like I prefer Lamar. I prefer Herbert.
Yeah, that's 100% my oh my fucking god. Sorry. Marcus Smart is out for the Celtics, and I have a lot of Celtics. I have a lot of Celtics futures. So that's no fun. But yeah, Mahomes is one of those where like I'm not going to have a lot, but I'm also when you're in on an offense, when you're in on a Week 17 game, when you're in on literally every Chief, I'm drafting every Chief. I'm drafting every Bronco, and so I don't. You also in turn then can't be 100% out on Patrick Mahomes. And so I'm trying to figure out how to make that work, like in my portfolio within my drafts. I haven't figured that out yet for sure. I think I have one or two, maybe out of 30. So in a similar boat.
Yeah, he just goes in such a tough area of like that
he's overpriced. He's overpriced. I don't even think it's really debatable, but like you also understand kind of why he goes where he does.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. But want to get back to Aaron Jones. So, you know, you had brought up Devontae, and like that's something I probably need to think more through. However, you know, they kind of started to use AJ Dillon as that banger role last year, and we still saw Aaron Jones get like he's on that 60 side of the 60-40. Like I don't see that really changing just because they like how efficient he is as a runner and they use him in the passing game. So, you know, he's almost locked in to get at least 15 touches a game, and you know he's willing.
Oh yeah,
he can at any point break a long one.
100%. And he's despite the fact he's like my size, he's awesome at the goal line. He's a really good fucking football player. Aaron Jones is a really good football player. So the part of the problem though is shout out to Rich Rebarb at Lord Reeves on Twitter. He had posted a thread about this, about like players who derive either like not as much or way too much of their value from touchdowns. And that has been Aaron Jones on the way too much side of things. Like he's scoring double-digit touchdowns every year, but he's not really doing much else. And so my concern then is that he's awesome. And like maybe they do sustain the same level of scoring in Green Bay, and maybe he picks up more without Devontae. But when you remove one of the best wide receivers in the NFL from an offense, I have very real concerns about how the offense is going to look after. So, that worked out well.
Juju?
Yeah, that worked out.
Yeah, I don't want Demont.
No.
But we'll double step the
I am. This is going to sound blasphemous. I'm going to force myself to take a little bit of David Montgomery because I like the Bears-Lions game in Week 17. And I know that I've been stubborn on him for many years. And I'm taking a lot more Khalil Herbert, like a lot more Khalil Herbert. But if Demont is a 100% snap player in Week 17 against the Lions, we're going to want him. And so I'm forcing myself to take a little bit.
I'm taking him more in full PPR, like more on DraftKings, just because he does have that pass. But yeah, no, I feel like you can't just fade him completely. Whereas Antonio Gibson, who I have no shares of, I feel like you can fade 100%.
What a sad state of affairs. Last year, I'm just like smashing Gibson and like he's one of the poster boys, and now it's like, oh, what do you think about Antonio Gibson in the 7th round? I'm like, no.
But yeah, one thing I've definitely been thinking about, and kind of going off that, you said Aaron Jones scores at very high percentage volume touchdowns, right? Like he scores a lot of touchdowns, definitely way over expectation. But the man's been doing this for 3 years. And like, I've been thinking about it. Like, I can't just completely fade that because there's some element that we can't quantify that he keeps doing it. So, you know,
he plays with Aaron fucking Rodgers, and he's really good at football.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I do like. I know we're not on the clock yet. I do like ETN here. I really love Darnell Mooney. I know that's like a kind of a hot take, but I really like Darnell Mooney. Cooks, Elijah Moore.
I like Cooks. I'm kind of.
We talked a little bit. Yeah, right? I'll let you kind of wade through those three, but those are all good to me.
I don't have much Etienne, so kind of surprised he fell. He got a positive.
Yeah, he's fully
he's rehabbing well. He's gonna be ready for OTAs.
Right, exactly.
We're just getting everybody after ADP today. I do see one of the comments. So Hayden brings up he's late to the party. But this is kind of the point. So it's not just picking a different QB2, right? It's not thinking that through. It's because they have the same bye week, people are locking themselves out of that combo solely because they're afraid that they're going to lose out on 20 points. So you're in turn differentiating yourself and adding in a uniqueness to you, actively not like picking a different quarterback, right? So you could pick a different quarterback, but that's going to be repetitive many, many times. It's going to be very repeatable. It's going to be very common. Everybody's going to have a lot of those different combinations. Obviously, you're going to get differentiated through your later picks, but you're not really adding a leverage on the field. Whereas two quarterbacks with the same bye, isn't going to be very repeatable. Where in that week 15, 16, 17 matchup, you're going to be different from your actual league. You're going to have easy ways, different stacks than anybody else. Both of those teams could go off. You're getting the higher, whoever scores higher, however many points. So it's just like a way to kind of differentiate yourself without doing anything that's really crazy. And I probably worded that terribly.
Nope. I totally agree. I think part of the what Hayden brought up with taking, you're like, oh, we'll just take a different QB2. It's like, what? Solely because you're terrified of losing those $25, right? This is what we're talking about. You're terrified of losing those $25. You won't draft whatever. I don't have the bye weeks memorized. This is literally how much I look at them. I know all the week 17 matchups, but I don't know any of the buys. Real quick, you won't Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson together. What if they're the best two quarterbacks? I'm not saying that they are, but why can't you draft Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford? They both have probably fun week 17 matchups. Josh Allen is the QB1. Matthew Stafford is on one of the best offenses in the NFL. But you're locking yourself out of that combination. Why? Like, for 15 points, for 10 points? So you could absolutely draft a different QB2, but now you've set yourself up to not have that combination. I cannot take Sky Moore 80th.
No, I would not take Sky Moore here.
You know me. I like Miles Sanders. I'm okay with Thielen as well. I like Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah,
we already have Kelsey, so Hawk doesn't make a lot of sense.
We're gonna keep my name and go King of the Olds.
Yeah, there we go. We got it. Yeah. You're right. We
can't stick to the brand.
We can't have the guy that stands all the old injured guys and not take Adam Thielen.
But I mean, we've talked about this in the past. I mean, Adam Thielen's a late seventh round pick, and every year everyone's like, "Oh, he's too old. He's gonna fall off a cliff." And what does he do? 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Yeah, I know. It makes me sick because I'm drafting Adam Thielen too. I just don't talk about it.
We will differentiate ourselves and get young later in the draft.
Right.
And we have some young. I mean, no, not really. We're going old. We're going old school. Besides Etienne, we're going King of the Olds.
Yeah, the Etienne price is great. I'm buying a ton of him again. Like we talked about, been drafting a smidge more on. There goes. Is that Trey Lance?
That's Trey Lance, 86. Yep.
That's great.
It's a Beimfohr draft.
Fucking hell. And we're back on the clock. So we can, like CPAT, like Pollard, wide receiver is bad. Good thing we got at least a few of these guys. Yeah, CPAT, Pollard.
Pollard's interesting. Goddard's interesting, but we have Kelsey.
Yeah, don't want to do CPAT or Pollard. What's wide receiver again? I mean, I like Kirk or Garrett Wilson or Gage. Kirk. No, he's on the same team as Etienne. I was thinking the Houston Jags game, but CPAT's in one of my favorite games of Week 17, and I think in general people are like, he's another one of those like Debo-esque guys where everybody's like, he can't do that again. He's not gonna. He's old. He's kind of a gadgety type player, and it's like, who exactly is getting touches on Atlanta?
Yeah.
On Atlanta, and if they get any better at all, which in theory they should with London and with Brian Edwards,
and
Auden Tate. And Auden Tate, yes. Who I don't think is going to play in 3 wide receiver sets because they just have it's such a redundant. I have a couple of Auden Tate shares, but it's such a redundant skill set. Like they're all this. They drafted a bunch of the same. They're all the goddamn same player as all of them. But
and I mean,
good for Kyle Pitts.
They're just doing the rebuild. They're trying to
100%.
figure out who fits because they're in a multi-year rebuild. They're trying to see who's going to fill that role in Arthur Smith's offense. They're just grabbing the same guys, see what happens in preseason, and probably half of them will get cut.
Yeah, GAS about Cole Kmet, who I'm very much on.
Yep. Absolutely.
Again, I know not everybody necessarily agrees with my hyper focus on Week 17, but the Bears, I think, are the perfect kind of culmination of team that everybody is like out on, because trust me, the fact that they didn't add like Velus Jones and Byron Pringle were the weapons that they added, like that's not very fucking good. I agree, like that, to have those kind of concerns. However, the market is like, the Bears suck. We're done with them. That's it. But like Cole Kmet's going to play every snap. Velus Jones has reasonable draft capital and past the opportunity. Darnell Mooney had one of the highest target shares and like was a legit good fantasy asset last year. Same for David Montgomery. Same for Khalil Herbert when David Montgomery missed. There's a lot of good fantasy assets actually still on this team, but the market doesn't care. And then, like I said, they get the Lions in Week 17, a game that I really want to target. And so I'm on Kmet. I'm on all the Bears.
Yep. No, I'm in on the. You don't have to buy me back in on Fields again. I'm in on Fields.
God damn it, Fields and Lance. I'm just gonna do this stupid shit again.
We're gonna do it until they don't get.
I know
contracts
next year.
We're doing it for 4 years straight. So
yeah. Fast forward to next year, like they're fucking awful, but they're still gonna be starters, and they're gonna be even cheaper. We're gonna be like, how can you not take 16th round Trey Lance and 17th round Justin Fields? And everybody's gonna be like, because they're fucking terrible at football, you idiots.
At least for Lance, it'll only be his second year. I'll have the second year leap. The second year leap.
It'll be coffins for Fields, yeah.
I wanted Gage there.
Good. Yeah, I'm on Gage. Kirk still makes sense, I think, because there's Houston backdoor options on the Jags.
Lazard's interesting because
Lazard, Claypool, Jameson.
Yeah, I like Claypool.
Still don't really want to do tight end.
Jameson's interesting, but I think we can wait on him.
Yeah.
Let's just grab it and we'll see who falls.
It sets us up for like, if you have that Jags like kind of secondary stack, Kirk and ETN, it's totally fine. If you get Lawrence, that's great. If you don't, it's also fine to just have ETN and Kirk. I think that's one thing that people have a tough time with. It's like, I took 2 Jags, I have to get that stack. And it's like, no, you don't. You don't have to do that.
You got majority of the offense without actually having the quarterback.
Yep.
And I mean, I think in the Discord, I was talking to somebody and he's like, you didn't stack your quarterback. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like my running back is stacked with my quarterback. He catches passes. That is a stack. You can stack your quarterback with your tight end. You can stack with your running back. You don't even need your quarterback. You can stack running back, tight end. You just want parts of that team. Correlate that team, whether it be a skinny stack, like with Adam Thielen and someone on Green Bay. Just circuit, make it so you have to get less things right. Doesn't have to necessarily be wide receiver, tight end. Mix and match. Figure it out.
Yeah, the get less things right is definitely the biggest part of like all the correlations that everybody like kind of misses.
Yep.
It's like I'm actually like we all understand I can put together a correlation matrix as well based on all this data, but like the whole point actually is to get less things right, not necessarily. Oh, there went Lazard. Let's see here.
Singletary's interesting. Melvin's interesting.
We have Kelsey. So Kelsey. Oh, I kind of think we should do Melvin. I know Singletary is a
Yep.
little higher in ADP. I think he makes the most
Yep.
sense on this team.
Yep. That's why I threw him in there.
I love. I mean
Probably
that game.
don't
That
have
game.
that.
That game is just. I'm gonna have so many fucking stacks of that game and secondary correlations of that game because it's so easy to get. Like, we have Patrick Mahomes. We have all the most expensive Chiefs: Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Juju. And then it's like, guess what? Whatever Bronco ends up fitting into that, and there's a very clear and obvious path to Javonte could still be playing and Melvin could be a smash in that game. Javonte goes down in week 17 and you just have Melvin as a workhorse in that at that pick as like your bring back to that stack. It's like there's just so many ways that it can work with Tim Patrick, it can work with Alberto, it can work with obviously Javonte, whatever. That game is so easy.
Yeah, especially with how like ambiguous the draft prices are for Chiefs players. Like I've been trying to
Broncos too.
Yeah, Broncos too, and we'll see how that goes. Coming in the preseason once they actually start showing highlight videos. But it's so easy to even just get a skinny stack. You can find one on each team and just be like, all right, we have my piece. Hopefully, this is the piece that wins week 17.
Right. I stack another game and it's MVS and Cortland Sutton, and they both catch 2 long touchdowns. It's so easy to see that scenario play out. And like you said, you can mix and match every combination of those players. I just love that.
Yep.
Love that game for it. Obviously, I'm really excited about that game anyway, but the element of being able to mix and match through all those, like I can't mix and match through Bengals Bills. You tell me how to mix and match through Bengals Bills. They all go in the first 5 rounds. So like I can't mix and match through them. But a game that I actually probably like more, at least as much, probably more, Chiefs Broncos, I can just have every permutation of that, no matter the structure, no matter the team I'm building.
Yep. Yeah, it's just so easy to fit in. And it's funny you say that because someone got mad at me. They took both Chase and Higgins in the first 2 rounds. And then I had the 12, so at the 5-6 pick, I had Mixon, so I took Burrow just because he was falling and kind of wanted to see how it worked out. And he's like, "What the hell, man?" I'm like sorry, like you already invested the capital, you already have majority of the team, but it's not going to work that way perfectly for you. There's three guys that go early that literally could get paired with Burrow at any given point.
Right. Okay, so 1 quarterback, 4 running back, 4 wide receiver. Definitely like Fields. Definitely like Kenny G.
This is the ugly tier.
Starting to. Hold on, I'm literally about to sneeze. I said on Friday my allergy. I'm allergic to 0 RB teams. That's what I discovered on Friday. My allergies have been going crazy for like 2 weeks, but I like the Kenny G thing because we obviously need another stack. We have Saquon.
Yep.
And so again, even if we don't get into that game stack, it's totally fine to have both of those guys. But it just as you're drafting, starting to set up those future opportunities is important.
Yeah, and it's definitely a lot easier when you're not streaming because then you can put everybody in your
queue and
I know react to it. One thing, and I know you don't care about week 16. Giants play Vikings, so
oh, nice. Now I can tell people in the Discord that I care about week 16. On stream, I drafted I drafted the secondary, the correlation with week 16, and I didn't even know it. I don't fucking know who anybody plays in week 16.
Yeah,
I can like read the week 17 schedule off, but week 16, I literally don't. I don't.
That's what I was going to ask.
I do think I know the Chiefs because the schedule is just so cushy that it's just like it jumps off the screen at you that they play such god fucking awful. It's either god awful teams and then the Broncos, who are obviously not god awful, but like it's going to be like the highest total game of the week.
They might average 50 points a game in the playoffs.
It's crazy.
Houston, Seattle, Denver. The only hard part would be Denver with the defense. Is it in that? No, it's not.
No, it's in Kansas City. Which I mean, it's going to be the beginning of January in Kansas City. It's not like that's going to be a fun environment, but yeah, I don't know how to not be excited about the Chiefs. And like I said, the ambiguity creates a lot of potential value. I have no idea who it's going to be, but
we're grabbing Fields, right?
Oh yes, sir.
I really hoped that they had the same bye week just so we could go off.
I know. I considered like leading off the entire show with like the cold open, like we're gonna draft 2 quarterbacks with the same bye, and we're not gonna take a third one. We're gonna force it. I don't give a shit. That was like Friday. the show was like, I'm drafting a 0 RB team. You guys are not stopping me. I don't care what's gonna happen. And every idiot in that draft like handed me the team I wanted. It's probably like the best team I've drafted in BBM, or one of my favorite teams I've drafted in BBM. But I mean, everybody's out to make their own teams. But it was just funny. So, but like that was stuck in my brain. Like, well, if you show up here and I tell everyone that we're gonna draft the quarterbacks with the same bye weeks, maybe they'll just give us, like the 2 that we want.
Yep. Yeah, I was in that draft. I also went 0 RB and waited way too long at running back, so that was my problem.
That's definitely the hardest part because there's a tier from, I think in that draft I took AJ Dillon. I actually think he's like almost the start of a tier.
Yeah.
Kind of like AJ Dillon is Kareem Hunt of last year. That like 6th round, committee back with clear, like crazy upside to the 10th round or something like that, give or take. There's like a tier right there where it's like, man, if you started 0 RB, there's a bunch of dudes right there that like I really want, right? Dylan Pollard. We drafted Melvin Gordon. I drafted CEH on that team, all that kind of stuff. There's all those guys. Miles Sanders. And if it doesn't work, you're like, fuck. Now I'm drafting I like Rashad White and Isaiah Spiller and stuff like that. But like it's a very different value proposition for those guys than it is for that tier.
Yeah, it's just it's a lot. You have to kind of project more. You
way
like
more.
To, when you have a 0 RB, you like to have at least one guy that you're like, all right, I can count on him at least going forward. He has contingent value, whatnot. Once you get like past that, I would say right after Melvin is kind of where, or probably Ramondre. Right after Ramondre is you have no idea if these guys, they could be in roles, and they have huge contingent values, but like when are they actually going to start playing? Like it's a huge rookie tier. It gets ugly pretty quick.
Right. It is like we can joke about not caring about the regular season and all that kind of stuff, but like you do need some points from your running backs for a little while, right? That's why like James Conner was such a smash last year. It was like he scored a boatload of he wasn't really doing shit other than scoring goal line touchdowns for the first 2 months, but like he was getting you 10 points every week plus. Because of those touchdowns so like that's why those guys go where they go, because they have a role regardless. Like Rashad White's not gonna even like get on the field. I like those guys, right? Alexander Madison, shout out to him, but like he's not gonna do anything if Dalvin's healthy versus AJ Dillon and James Conner, and those guys are gonna potentially provide a ton of usable weeks, even if the other guy is healthy.
Yeah. Well, we're on the clock. One thing I was going to say about Madison, we have no idea what his role is going to be.
Yeah, I love that. I love that part of it.
DJ Chark sets up the stack with Chicago.
Yes, absolutely.
Why are they letting us do this?
Another one that rolls right into it. That's perfect.
Komet too.
It's definitely Chark. It's definitely Chark though.
that we're probably. What do you think about these running backs? Would you say potentially one in like the 17th, 18th, or would you be done with these 4?
I would be more than likely probably taking a 5th at some point, but also using that as that little correlation lever
Yep.
down the stretch. That like I'm not forcing it. If things play out in a way that the wide receiver just always makes more sense in those other rounds, I will go that route. But I also want to have those running backs in my back pocket. Like I can't think of any off the top of my head that fit our team. I don't know. We end up with a game stack of the Bears, and it's like Jamal Williams makes more sense than a wide receiver type of thing. Just off the top of my head.
Rex Burkhead, Marlon Mack.
Yeah. Yep.
Texans, Jaguars.
100%. Yep. 100%.
Yeah. No. Kind of doing the same thing. And I've alluded to this. Like, I don't try to get myself like stuck in a specific strategy. Like, I took 4 running backs here, but it's incorporating how they fit into the structures rather than thinking like, I'm going 0 RB. I can't take a running back until X round. Like, you just need to see how everybody correlates and works together. And I feel like people kind of get tied into like, I'm building a robust team. I need to stop here, or I need 4 running backs, and they do that like ahead of time. I know last week Rob was like, we have the 12. Like, what are you looking to do? Like, I'm usually trying to do a 0 RB build. I'm like, it really just depends. You never know how you want to build a specific team, but you need to see how each individual player correlates and works well together.
Totally agree. I don't have anything to add. That's exactly what I would say. You just again, the running backs are the best guys. Alec Pierce makes a lot of sense on this team with Saquon and Kenny G. I know you're gonna tout Odell.
Not here. I don't love our wide receiver group to be like we should get Odell.
Yeah, I think Pierce makes the most sense here.
Pierce does make the most sense. He should be on the field.
God damn, man. Dude, the fact that Alec Pierce is now a mid 14th round pick, and like that's just crazy to me. We were, pre NFL draft, nobody gave a shit about Alec Pierce. He was undrafted. You could have taken him whenever you wanted. And in the first few days, the first week of Best Ball Mania, you could have taken Alec. Definitely the first day or two, you could take him in the 18th round. Yep. In the first week, you could have taken him at least the 16th, 17th, 18th. And now it's like Alec Pierce is a 14th round pick. And I mean, I like Alec Pierce, but it's very triggering because he's one of my guys. He's one of the guys I'm high on, like from a put my hand in the dirt perspective. And now it's like, Jesus Christ, he goes over who we're taking Alec Pierce. Like Alec Pierce is like going to be the new Visca.
Yep. Well, not that far, but close.
It's May. It's still May.
That's so true. It's so I was thinking about this right before we were streaming. Like this is the 22nd, or what is it? This is the fourth draft, so that means it's been open for 21 days. So let me just how much have we filled in 3 weeks? Sorry for everybody that's watching.
More than Rudman tweeted we filled more entrants than the original Best Ball Mania tournament was.
We are 8% full in 3 weeks with almost 38,000 entries.
Almost 40,000 people.
Ridiculous. But yeah,
May 23rd.
It's crazy to see how much ADP has already shifted because I was going to be one person to be like, Keontae Ingram is my guy. I'm going to Darrington Evans him, and like you can't even get him in the 18th round anymore.
I know.
I was literally just going to like put him on every team just in case or when James Conner gets hurt, and it's going to be fine. And yeah, Casey brings up a good point. Like you want Julio to sign in Indy now just so Alec Pierce comes down.
Yeah, that's true because Julio's only going to play like 6 games. And so I'm just going to get my Alec Pierce then for the rest for those other 12 games or 11 games. But the ADP thing is nuts, dude. But that's also why I actually think it's a really important thing to bring up. I'm glad you brought it up. People talk about like, oh, I can't take a stand. or whatever. Like, I just want to, I don't want to take that guy in every draft.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, but like if you take Keontae Ingram in the 18th round in every draft, and he becomes, this is what happened to Darrington last year, and he becomes a 15th round pick. It's like, well, I'm not fucking taking him in the 15th round anymore.
Yep.
You can't ever take more of a player. You can always stop drafting them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so if they rise, you're going to be happy. Ooh. Hamler makes sense as another piece. Not Marvin. Mechie makes sense on this team.
That he's one of my highest owned guys.
Oh.
I know you never have to sell me on Mechie.
I think I don't see anything else that fits this team. Jamal, again, I talked about Jamal, but I'm not for it would be, I would prefer Mechie or Hamler to him.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm just going to take a peek to see what else is here, just to kind of get an idea of who I might want moving forward. Okay.
Did we take Mooney? Do we have Mooney? Or do we have Naked Fields?
I thought we took Mooney. Nope, we took Etienne.
It's okay. So Bayless or Pringle are guys to keep in mind here down the stretch. Okay. Got it.
But yeah, as you were saying, like, you can always take less of a guy. Might as well, if you love a price and you think like this guy is a potential smash where he's going and the industry doesn't carry on, you might as well just take him, right? Especially when who knows what's going to happen. Ingram, the first
if you're wrong, you're wrong. Who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. Like I have 50% Gabe Davis in BBM right now. Guess what it was? It was like the first 15 fucking teams I drafted. Yep. I took Gabe Davis because I'm like, he's not a 7th round pick. This is egregious.
Yep.
I think he's going to rise. If I was wrong about that bet, so be it. It's fine. Like, you're not dead. My best team, obviously the best team that is like public was with Pete, but the best team I draft, no shit. The team that on my own account made it furthest in BBM was the very first team I drafted of the entire year. It's not like it was a Rams like stack, Stafford, Kupp, Higbee, and I took JT like 6th overall. You look back and you're like, JT was like a mid to late 2nd round pick by the time it was all said and done.
Yep.
But it didn't matter. It didn't matter because I got all the right guys together, and their ADP is not going to shift that much that it matters. Ooh.
This is ugly.
This is the 16th.
This is the 16th round. We still need a tight end, but I'm not taking any of these guys.
No, don't.
Kendrick Bourne's, I guess, somewhat interesting.
Kendrick Bourne,
interesting.
If you want, Samuel's fine. I'm fine with Samuel. I was gonna say I don't have any strong takes here. If you wanted to correlate the like secondary Houston guys, we took Mechie, obviously. Like, if they trade Brandon Cooks,
yep,
you can take Nico, and we have that kind of Jacksonville thing, and maybe you have the top 2 wide receivers from Houston. I know that's like super gal brain, but like when you get to this point in the draft, I'll think about those kinds of things. But I also think sometimes just like take the fucking best player. Yeah. Like, I love to gal brain all of it, but sometimes it's like, if Curtis Samuel's your best player available, just take Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, I mean, we were all on, what was he, a 7th round pick last year?
That is crazy.
In the 16th round.
That is
a better quarterback than last year.
It is really crazy, and I'm a fan of Curtis Samuel as a player, and I was probably one of those. We just talked about the guys that if you draft them and their ADP doesn't go up, who gives a shit? I'm pretty sure Curtis Samuel is one of those guys. For me, like, they signed him, I was in on Washington. Obviously, I was talking about Gibson.
Yep.
Terry, whatever. Like, I was in on all these guys, and so I was drafting Samuel, like you said, in like the 8th round or something. And then the end of the summer, and he's like an 11th round pick. You're like, sweet June draft you did there, dude, with 8th round Curtis Samuel.
It's crazy, but I mean, that's you have to kind of pick and choose. Like, sometimes it fits for specific builds, and some you're not always going to be right, but you're hoping you find fucking lightning in a bottle.
Yep.
So,
and I do think it, like if you're like around in our community and all that kind of stuff, I do actually really think you can identify the guys that are going to rise a lot quicker. Like last year, I wasn't quite as good at it. I just mentioned like JT and Samuel and stuff, but I was also on Cup and Debo and all those guys who rose too. This year, almost no one that I've taken a stand on, as they've all pretty much gone up. So let's see here. Damn, Daniel Jones is still around. What the fuck?
Oh, that sucks.
That's crazy. What's the Valus and Pringle situation look like? Let's just take Valus, or at least put him in the queue. Yeah.
Why is
I prefer Valus. So just take him, and then let's figure out the 18th round pick.
We could. I'm completely fine doing a one tight end build here.
That's interesting. I'm open to that too. What does tight end look like? Is there anybody?
It's Thomas, Hooper. I mean, they're all right.
Thomas. I mean, I don't really like Thomas, but we do have Curtis Samuel, so we made a little small bet on Washington that would make some sense. Now, look, you're turning me into a Week 15 bro. They play the Giants.
They do play the Giants. They also play San Francisco Week 16. Yeah. I'm not a Week 15 bro. I'm a Week 16 bro. They also play San Francisco. And
look at this. This is the playoff schedule gods just raining down on us.
So we'll see what happens there. There's another guy that I'm interested in that I'm going to throw out once we get closer, just because to see what your thoughts are.
Is this the latest you've seen Daniel Jones go? Davis Mills going before and Carson Wentz going before Daniel Jones?
I have not seen Daniel Jones go undrafted.
That's crazy. Good for whoever.
Typically, I'm the one drafting him.
Yeah, exactly. He's gone in all my drafts before this because I'm the one that took him in the 15th round or whatever.
Yeah.
Good for whoever gets him. Danny Gray, my guy, goes in the 18th round. Paris Campbell. Devin Duvernay. I'm not on board with the Devin Duvernay hype.
I prefer Tylan Wallace.
Tylan? Why would you not draft a guy that has actual upside?
He was a 4th round pick last year. Like,
yeah, why are you just like yeah.
Good. He was good in college, and he just didn't get on the field.
Well, he blew out his knee.
Yeah,
and then he blew out his knee. He would have been. He is a far superior prospect to Devin Duvernay.
Devin Duvernay is a specialist. The guy I was thinking about is Romeo Doubs.
Oh yeah, I'm in for that. More than Pringle, yeah. We don't need it. We don't need another bear. No. We got our stack here. Let's not go overboard. We don't need Pringle and Valus Jones.
No. I had left him in the queue. I'm in on Logan Thomas this year. Although he's a king of the old. So I think he'll be fine, but he is 30, 31, if I'm not mistaken. What? Oh my God, this is why you set position limits so that if you do miss picks, they work properly. However, you got to make sure that they actually get selected.
Okay, Silas is gone. He just fucked this whole draft up on the last pick. Got a third quarterback, but I mean, I guess at least we got Daniel Jones.
I was gonna say at least it's Daniel Jones, and he is stacked with Saquon.
I know. And Kenny G, and we have the Alec Pierce bring back. It could be worse, I guess. 3, 4, 3. How many 3, 4, 10, 1 teams are in Ball Mania? That's you talk about unique.
Oh my goodness,
that's great. That's really funny.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta jam Daniel Jones onto your Patrick Mahomes teams when you already drafted Justin Fields too.
This is exactly why I wish Justin Fields had the same bye week as Mahomes, because then it could have been the bid equity of us accidentally drafting a third QB on a bubble bye. If
it would have happened accidentally, the bit would have been really good. Like these dumb motherfuckers are sitting here saying that they can win without a score in week 9 or whatever, and they the Underdog software just drafted a third quarterback for them because they're so stupid.
Oh my God.
Rob is a little worried about our tight ends. This is a new one. Listen, I've heard a lot of people worried about my teams for multiple years now. I've not heard people worried about my tight ends when I draft Travis Kelce. That's new. Yeah, then Erik with a C, he's like, well, I'm gonna take Dubes. He took Dubes after we screwed it up.
I did see that. For the podcast listeners, Mahomes, Fields, auto draft, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Travis Etienne, Cordero Patterson, Melvin Gordon, Debo Samuel, Juju, Adam Thielen, Christian Kirk, Kenny Golladay, DJ Chark, Alec Pierce, John Mechie, Curtis Samuel, Velus Jones, and Travis Kelce. I like it. I mean, it definitely has like it seems very boom bust if I'm not like mistaken.
What's the running back? Say the running backs. Go to the So Saquon, Etienne, CPAT, and Melvin. See, I like. I mean, we talked a little bit about the 4 or 5 thing, and I think that ultimately doesn't matter. You talked about why you also think it doesn't matter. We agree on that, but I do like embracing the fragility when, like, obviously we were not going to take a third quarterback, but like even still, it's like embracing it in a way that you see with the archetypes here. It's like these guys are going to score points week 1, right? And Saquon, we're betting on. We've already made a big bet. Saquon is going to be a stud.
Yep.
But like if ETN is a stud and CPAT is just CPAT, CPAT doesn't have to be a stud. Just be last year's CPAT. Yep. And Melvin, honestly, just be last year's Melvin. It's like you don't need that fucking 5th guy.
Yep.
You know? And so it's like balancing that. Like you said, I'm not opposed to taking a 5th running back on this team. I'm actually, if it was by myself, I might have taken. I wouldn't have taken Daniel Jones. So I might have taken a fifth running back. But like I like mixing in your 150 or however many you're going to do, like this kind of fragility, right? People talk about hyper fragile, and they do it with 4 running backs in the first 4 rounds. Like this is probably how you win with hyper fragile. It's like if ETN is a smash and Saquon is a smash and CPAT and Melvin are at least at a minimum just good enough. That is what I want from a hyper fragile team. I don't want because we have Debo and we have Travis Kelce. We have Patrick Mahomes. That is an edge on a hyper fragile team. A hyper fragile team with, all 4 early running backs is not really that big of an edge.
Yeah. And I mean, even when you go with 4 early running backs, like you're only playing 3 of them at most. Like we, based on our build, theoretically only need one other guy other than Saquon, right?
2
one guy other than Saquon each week.
It's a Saquon bet. That's the thing. This is a Saquon bet. If Saquon sucks, the team is dead, and so be it.
And you're just rotating those scores. They don't all have to go off in the same week. Playoff weeks, different story. But you want to rotate everything in. So act like you're right. Cordero Patterson's going to repeat last year. Melvin Gordon going to repeat last year or Javonte is going to get hurt and Melvin Gordon's the feature back. Etienne, they're actually going to use him as like the showcase of the offense because they really don't have anybody else. Like allow you to think your way through that and don't think of the negative outcomes of what's my 30% outcome, what's my 40% outcome. Think about your 80, 90, 100% ceiling outcomes to actually compile and actually reach that your the goal at the end of the tunnel. You want to win first place. Build it so that you actually have a chance to win first place.
100%. And I love to wrap up. Travis Etienne is a great archetype, I think, and the archetype stuff matters. And those combinations of running backs were a totally fine combination. And Travis Etienne is a great fit into embracing fragility or zero running back. He fits. He's a great pick because he fits every single possible structure really that you could create, because like I always like how I kind of outline it is it like his ceiling is he's Jacksonville's Alvin Kamara.
Yep.
Right? They become a good literally Siri just heard me and she's reading me Alvin Kamara's. Alvin Kamara has 373 catches for 3,263 yards. That was hurting my ears. Siri was reading me Alvin Kamara's stat line. But that's like the goal, right? Is Jacksonville becomes a good offense and he is the Alvin Kamara of their offense. Like that is the greatest pick of the year. It's like, that's like, we all wanted to draft 6th round Travis Etienne if that happened. And so what if that happens? Saquon is a smash and Travis Etienne is Alvin Kamara of the Jaguars. It's like, now draft that team that you like when that happens. And so I love that team, even with Daniel Jones. I'm cool. I'm cool. Listen, Patrick Mahomes is just getting us. He's an advance rate guy. We're going to get to week 17 and Daniel Jones is going to just drop bombs all over the place on the Colts. And Alec Pierce, after Julio signs and Julio gets hurt, is going to, catch 2 touchdowns on the bring back. That'll about wrap us up, though. I got a Blues game to go watch.
I gotta watch the Celtics.
Blues and Celtics. I'm heavily invested in the Celtics, and Marcus Smart is not playing, and I'm very triggered. And I'm a diehard Blues fan. So Silas, anything else you got? I know I'm posting your latest article, which I'm very excited about tomorrow, breaking down kind of reverse engineering, like if you were to figure out a way to draft the best team last year, you did a lot of heavy research into figuring out how to draft that team last year, and that's going up tomorrow.
Yeah, no, that's cool, and it kind of goes to show that some picks can literally go out the door. So one thing that I
love that.
You don't have to be right on everything. So it will definitely be interesting for people to read. Definitely put a lot of work into it. So take a peek on that on Spike Week tomorrow. Other than that, that's all I got. Follow me on Twitter. Disagree with me in the Discord.
Yeah, exactly. Join the Discord. And Rob, don't listen to him when he's in the comments, but do join. He hosts the Tuesday night show, the football show, here on Spike Week at 6 p.m. Eastern. And I will be back on Wednesday with another episode of Best Ball Bros. Thank you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Had a really fun draft. Don't hate on our auto draft. Actually, do. You can tag Silas. You can tag Silas on that one. And we'll see you guys next week.